Welcome to the Advance Your Art podcast, where we talk about the journey from artist to entrepreneur and everything in between. You've worked hard to hone your craft. Now take it to the next level with tips, techniques, strategies, and routines used by successful artists to grow their businesses and careers. Now, let's get started and have some fun with your host, Yuri Cataldo.
Hello, Catherine. How are you today?
I am very well. Thank you, Yuri.
Excellent. That's good to hear, especially during these times. Where are you calling us from?
Grand Junction, Colorado.
Wonderful. How long have you been in Colorado?
Probably about 15 years, although it has been a family place to come and visit. Most of my other family members are all here in Colorado.
Okay. Oh, great. So for my audience who isn't familiar with you and your work, how do you describe yourself and what you do?
I'm a senior citizen. I'm honest. I'm pretty experienced in the world of commerce. Mm-hmm. And I am beginning to learn the world of words with books.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's get into that, because I know you have a very interesting and extensive background. So let's start with furniture executive. What originally got you into the world of furniture, and what was that like?
It was very rewarding, very enriching. I learned a lot, and it gave me the opportunity to talk to people. Mm-hmm. When you're selling furniture, especially expensive furniture, you have to be able to relate to that person, and they have to learn to trust you. Mm-hmm. It's one of those businesses where you can spend time with people as opposed to quickly going through a sales transaction is done and over with, and you forget about them. With furniture, it's a little different.
Yeah. Well, would you be able to tell us what furniture company you worked for and what type of furniture you were selling?
Sure. Originally, the first one was a mom and pop store that had been in existence for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Selling recliners and, a lot of inexpensive furniture. When I came into it, almost immediately, we upgraded. We started selling more expensive furniture and spent time with the clients as opposed to getting them out the door and taking their check.
Okay. Excellent. And so how did your career evolve in the furniture industry?
Again, I became a very well-versed salesperson. I knew the product. I knew how it was made. I had visited many factories and was aware of the process and could talk to a customer and explain the process to them. Mm-hmm. I also have a degree in advertising, so I spent many months working with manufacturers, designing product. In fact, with one particular manufacturer, I designed a bedroom set that was an absolute top seller for years and years in the U.S. and internationally.
Wow. So it sounds like you had a fantastic career in there. What ultimately made you want to move on and I guess retire from furniture sales?
I got out of it because I came to Colorado. My parents, both mother and father, were experiencing illness as they aged and needed help. So I came to Colorado to help them.
Okay, good. So I want to talk to you then about your writing career and your books. As we mentioned kind of before off recording, you have 5 books with 3 or 2 in the work right now, but most recently Lavender Moon, which came out in January, and then The
Yes,
Cost of Freedom, which just came out in March. So
correct.
so what initially made you want to become a writer?
When I retired from the furniture business here in Colorado, I felt I could write and generate some income. That unfortunately has not come true yet due to no media appearances, but I am working on trying to get the word out, and hopefully this podcast will help.
Well, hopefully it will help as well. Great. So let's talk about then your first book, Lavender Moon, which is a biography, or sorry, a memoir.
Biography.
Yep.
It is loaded with sex. It's quite an intimate book. It's very fast paced. It does not cover any of my childhood memories, which I learned after I finished the book. I should have put some childhood memories in there, but I did not. It starts as an adult and ends as an adult.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a lot of racy details in there. When you're with your first book, what made you want to be so open and honest, and revealing of your experiences?
If you're writing a biography, you have to be. Otherwise, the readers are not going to be able to relate to you if you're telling lies about yourself.
Did you find that difficult starting off to be that open and honest?
Absolutely. Being brutally honest, you really have to question why you are doing this.
Yeah. So how did you get over that? Because I mean, putting yourself out there is a difficult task. How did you get to the point where you could be open and honest and revealing with a lot of your experiences?
I would write pages, look at them, and decide, no, that's really not how it went or how I felt. So let me rewrite it, and I did. And then pretty soon, you start telling the absolute truth, your true feelings, and what has happened in your life. So I actually started enjoying it. And then the books that follow, it continues in the same venue, although in fiction as opposed to real life.
Okay. So let's talk about the book that just came out, Cost of Freedom. What made you decide to write that book?
Well, I am a veteran. My father was in the Air Force as well. My brother is a veteran, and I am a war buff. I enjoy movies and histories of both World War II and Vietnam. I also have a medical or nursing background because of many things that I've experienced myself. So it kind of seemed natural, and it tells a very powerful love story between a nurse and a disabled veteran that lost a hand and a leg in Vietnam. It's quite honest. It brings his emotions and mine to the surface, and I hope the reader will understand the passion that comes forth in it.
Wonderful. And then you're also have written and releasing a follow-up. Is that correct? Cost of Freedom 2?
It is at the publisher now. It should be released by the end of June.
Okay, wonderful. So I'd like to talk about your process with this, with your memoir, and then the series that you wrote.
Sure.
How did you, besides the fact that you decided that you wanted to write these, what was it like? Did you outline the books first? Was it more of just, sit down and write pages? How did you approach each of these projects?
I think most of them, you get your ideas lying in bed at night, and you can't shut your brain off, and you start thinking of different things. And then most of the time, if I'm in that era, I have to get up and start writing things down on paper so I don't forget it or don't lose my chain of thought.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, like you said, writing or thinking in bed. Did you find that you were more creative in the evenings or at different times throughout the day?
No, mostly in the evenings because, your brain is supposed to be resting, but it isn't. And a lot of things run through it at night, and you can't shut it off most of the time.
Okay. Oh, great. So with that, would you get up and write down something on a pad of paper? Would you get in front of your computer and just start typing? What would you do?
No, I write down on paper, and frequently I'm there 2 or 3 hours and maybe write 20 or 30 pages, and then sit there and rewrite it and edit while I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. So with let's talk about the cost of freedom. So
Sure.
this book being again not a biography, did you, with the structure of it, how did you set up the structure and flow of the text itself?
Well, I think it went from meeting, and the premise of the book is she is a nurse at a VA hospital. She
Mm-hmm.
takes care of hospice patients, which really are terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And she has one particular special patient, which I think readers will be surprised to find out how sensitive this man is, and he has no arms. She is very good with her patients. She provides a non-medical touch. She kisses their forehead. She takes care of their medical needs, and is transferred after a short time in hospice to a PTSD group and helps veterans in this group who are suffering from various different triggers to the disease, one of which she is interested in. He is a Norwegian, a Viking. She understands him, and they develop a relationship and experience many different things on the road. He learns to live with his disease. She helps him with the disease and with his triggers for it, and they go through life a loving couple. And again, it does have a lot of sex. Sorry, but that's part of my writing. It's part of life. It's probably the most intimate type of conversation you can have, so I use it liberally.
Great. So your characters themselves, are they based off of people that you know or have known in the past, or are they more of a combination of different things that you've come across?
They're a combination, but I have listened to probably thousands of stories from vets, both my dad and meeting many others in the furniture business. And vets are one of those people that they want to tell you about their experience. They want you to realize what they have done in the service of their country, and they're proud of it. So they want you to hear it. And very few people will stand and listen to them. They get very verbal. They use foul language, but I understand it and have for years and years.
Mm-hmm. Great. What made you decide to break the story up into two different parts? Why not just write one big novel?
That's a question I have asked myself. I certainly could have combined the two books into one, but I felt there was a particular breaking point at the end of Cost of Freedom and a starting point for Cost of Freedom 2.